It's Sunday, November 24th, 2019, and this is the Pro and the Con Show, and I'm your host, Michael James Ott. So welcome to the show. So as the beginning of all shows, encouraging us to be better citizens, get more involved, think more, right? Be focused on the facts. That's the who, the what, the where, and the when. Be very aware of the information, where it's coming from, and understand that a lot of that information that comes to you is under no obligation to tell you the truth, right? And so, a lot of times I'll go through the different information streams. I look at Huffington Post and CNN and NPR and Fox News and Breitbart. And by doing that, it's a good way to really understand, because you really can contrast what these different, and again, no single channel of information of those is under any obligation really to tell you the truth, other than if they do too much lying, they get a reputation. But some people don't even care about that. But anyway, if you're a good citizen, you need to care. Okay, without the truth, without the facts, we're lost, folks. Today's show, I'm calling it just life, and I am doing the show just to just reflect a little bit, I suppose. I've run into some younger people that they're involved in their careers and things like that, and I can't help but want to sit down and just spend some minutes talking to them about how life is so unpredictable. In the movie Forrest Gump, there's a semi-famous line, Mama says life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. And I have to say, and I think that's one of the reasons why that line kind of, it resonates with a lot of people, or at least some people. It certainly resonates with me because, wow, who would have known? I'm grew up in this little tiny town in the middle of northern Illinois, and other than going on vacation for a couple weeks, the first few years, I hardly left the county in which I was born and raised. And then I ended up, just because my oldest brother really recommended it, I ended up going to the University of Illinois and getting a degree in chemical engineering. And only that because when I was in high school, I had this chemistry teacher who just unbelievably impressed me, and he was a chemical engineer by training. So I was like, I want to be like him. If I'm going to pick, I want to be like him. And so ended up applying late to go to school and all this other stuff, and ended up in a Catholic men's dorm where I met all kinds of really great friends from the suburbs of Chicago. Still friends today with a lot of those folks. And and then I'm in the Navy on nuclear submarines. And so I'm an officer, and the ship is under my command. The ship's duty officer, officer of the deck, do all kinds of stuff with ballistic missiles on board, and that whole Cold War thing was a very strong reality for me. And then left there and went to work for a company that specialized in fiber optic technology for the telecoms industry. And back in the day, nobody really knew about fiber other than there was a couple of companies. One was AT&T, and the other one was Corning / this little equity venture with Corning and Siemens called Secor. And you basically, if you didn't have homegrown knowledge back in the day from one of those two entities, you didn't know anything about fiber, because nobody knew anything about fiber back then. And so a long storied career, and ended up even living in Europe. There was a merger thing, so I was an expat for 2.5, almost 3 years. living near Munich and working with some great German colleagues over there. And then back here, um, and then divorced, remarried, living up in not in the Carolinas where I lived a long time, where when I was working at Secor / Corning. Now up here, and again, mostly in the telecoms industry, and it's just been an unbelievable change from one thing to another, and over the course of that time, seeing a lot of different things, in my life, and a lot of some of the positive things like greater and greater capabilities as far as medicine, that kind of stuff. And I was, in the last couple of shows I was showing you, I was volunteer for St. Jude's. So, seeing a lot of the great work that, for example, St. Jude's Medical Research Hospital does for children and their families. And, a lot of other progress medically, but then the onset of our, obesity problems with us eating, all these fast foods and inconvenience foods that, that capitalism, that great thing capitalism is providing us. And it's destroying our life. And then to see the coming of these, information streams like Breitbart and Fox News and CNN and others, where, to different degrees, they really try to bias people into their way of thinking by the way that they tell, the information they presented as news. And then, of course, the political parties, over the course of time, especially given that, we have increased this availability of communication, which we all thought was going to be a great thing. Well, all it's done is helped these people from these political parties, the puppeteers I call them, really help us be further apart than ever. Polarizing the storylines to separate us into two tribes, two cults. Yeah, and so those negative things are really tough to see, and that's led me to do things like make these videos. And by the time I'm done on election day in 2020, I will have made 450 videos or more, and all of them with the hope that they will end up in the internet and positively influence all of my neighbors and friends and colleagues and members of the species here around the world into doing things better, to be better citizens of the planet, citizens of the United States of America in particular. And that's life. And who would have thought? Well, anyway, I think I'm done for now. I just wanted to reminisce a little bit, I guess. And for Pro and Con Show, I'm Michael James Ott, and this is Sunday, November 24th. Till the next show, bye for now.